So are you aware of this? Did you know that actually near the end of the month of June, so basically last month, Everstake reported that over the last 30 days, Cardano recorded 774 code commits, ranking 7th amongst all layer 1 blockchains and accounting for 3.7% of total development activity. Keep in mind, these are figures that we're seeing, or that we did see, I should say, before the Van Rossum hard fork even happened. So imagine now that the Van Rossum hard fork already did happen, could you imagine what the numbers could look like moving forward? Now, I'll discuss the hypotheticals in today's video, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and this is just my personal opinion, perspective, and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Now, if we take a look at it, that's pretty impressive. So when people like to say, well, there is no development going on when it comes to Cardano, well, I like to think about it a little bit different, right? Because just last month, it already did pretty impressive things. And again, this was figures that was showcased even before the Van Rossum hard fork happened. Need I remind people, the Van Rossum hard fork recently happened, right? Again, I even made a video on it. But the thing is, the Van Rossum hard fork is going to bring better security when it comes to Cardano. So of course, if near the end of June, basically last month, it was reported how over the last 30 days, Cardano recorded 774 code commits, ranking 7th among all layer 1 blockchains and accounting for 3.7% of the total development activity. If that was the case last month, could you imagine what the numbers would look like next month or even the month after that? Now that Van Rossum, in terms of the hard fork, already happened, and then we saw these figures last month, basically, right, over the last 30 days based off of near the end of June. So if the numbers look like that back then, imagine what they're going to look like moving forward. Now with Cardano being better fundamentally because of the Van Rossum hard fork. If anything, if the upcoming numbers were to surpass the previous month's numbers before the Van Rossum hard fork even happened, wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Again, we saw those numbers even with Cardano not being as good as it is right now. Now, people like to say, well, what do you mean it's not as good as it is right now? The price is still at around 16 cents. It's not about the price, though. I'm talking literally about the fundamentals when it comes to Cardano, because the Van Rossum hard fork brought amazing and tremendous security. So again, Van Rossum, in terms of the hard fork, brought a lot of things when it comes to Cardano. So I think it's just much better right now. And if developers found Cardano so appealing even before the Van Rossum hard fork, I think it's only fair for me to assume that some of these developers might even find it more appealing moving forward because of the recent upgrade that happened when it comes to Cardano. But it doesn't necessarily end there, though, because if we take a look at it, Cardano ranking 7th among all layer 1 blockchains, right, over the last 30 days based off of near the end of June. 7th? That's pretty legendary. I mean, when it comes to Cardano, do people often think about it as like a top 10 layer 1 blockchain? I guess some people do, but nowadays, a lot of people don't really think about it that way just because the price isn't doing the best. I get it. Also, BNB, Solana, and Ethereum and all this isn't doing the best. But sometimes there's kind of this fatigue when it comes to Cardano just because it hasn't done much for quite a while. So I understand why some people may not think about it as a top 10 layer 1 blockchain currently. But at the same time, though, if Cardano not too long ago ranked 7th among all layer 1 blockchains, I mean, come on, right? In that specific category, of course, right? I'm talking about, how over the last 30 days, Cardano recorded 774 code commits near the end of June, basically the last 30 days from then. Again, it's pretty legendary considering how many people don't even consider this to be a top 10 layer 1 blockchain nowadays, and yet it was ranked 7th in that specific ranking. So you just gotta let that sink in. And keep in mind as well, Cardano is just scratching the surface with the Van Rossum hard fork. I really do believe that because, just like I mentioned in my previous video, the Van Rossum hard fork is just a taste. It's like the appetizer. It's not even the main course yet. The main course is literally Leos. Now, people like to say, well, what is that? Now, long story short, what Leos is going to do, if it could even ever happen when it comes to Cardano, but basically what Leos is going to bring is tremendous scalability when it comes to this. Again, when it comes to the case of Cardano. What Van Rossum does is really that it just kind of sets it up for, Leos moving forward. It kind of lays down the groundwork, basically. It's kind of like no different when I see, those documentaries or whatever, when people want to build a building, they build like the foundation first. Van Rossum is kind of like the foundation. The party's just getting started when it comes to the building in the construction site, right? When they just lay down the foundation, that's the party just getting started. The real McCoy, the real thing is building later, on top of the foundation. So when it comes to this, I kind of view it no different. Van Rossum is just laying down the groundwork. But the real McCoy is Leos. That is what Van Rossum is going to allow for Cardano moving forward. And of course, I'm talking about Leos in terms of the mainnet because we saw the testnet not too long ago, but we haven't seen the mainnet. But again, Van Rossum is going to hypothetically allow for the mainnet of Leos. So imagine, Van Rossum already brings tremendous security when it comes to Cardano. And then Leos is going to bring, hypothetically, tremendous scalability. So if something is very secure and very scalable, and yet Cardano doesn't even have outlandish gas fees anyways, I mean, the gas fees when it comes to this is hypothetically already pretty low. So if we take a look at that combination right there, security, scalability, and also low gas fees, that's a game set match. Now, granted, Cardano won't see the best adoption as of right now because a lot of developers are leaving. They're not entering usually as of right now. At least a lot of them are kind of leaving, right? But what that's going to allow for Cardano to do is that it's going to make it so that it has this better environment and this better, I guess, place for developers to later care about if that, I guess, attention were to flow back in again. Because if the market recovers and developers start entering back in again, Cardano is just going to be waiting right there. But then now it's going to be way better fundamentally than before because we take a look at the Van Rossum hard fork and even the potential of Leos. I don't know exactly when Leos is going to happen, by the way. I mean, a lot of people have been asking me, oh, when is Leos going to happen? I have no idea. The Van Rossum hard fork literally just happened. So, when it comes to Leos, in terms of the mainnet, only time will tell. But if Van Rossum happened this quickly, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised at all if Leos happened before the end of this year. It really wouldn't surprise me at all. I get it. People like to say, well, we're in July as of right now. It's going to be August soon. Yeah, I get that. But if we consider, okay, let's say in August, things start, kind of rolling. August to December, that's like 4 months. That's quite a while. Plenty of time to see Leos happen. So it wouldn't surprise me if Leos did happen before the end of this year. It wouldn't surprise me at all. In which case, if that were to happen, right, in this pure hypothetical, could you imagine Cardano in 2028 with the Van Rossum hard fork, with Leos? Wow, that would be pretty legendary. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to see the best adoption overall, no. But it's going to allow for better mass scale adoption moving forward. That's the thing. So I think it's pretty impressive. I'm still waiting. I'm still holding. If anything happens when it comes to Cardano, I'll be sure to make a video on it. So hopefully, y'all stay tuned for future upcoming videos. I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very wonderful and amazing day.